Urbanization is the growth and the development of cities. Cities have been around for a long time, but we really haven't seen an explosion of cities except for the advent of industrialization. So over the last 200, 250 years, cities have been on the rise. So we're going to break it down a little further. All right, so the official definition of urbanization is the growth and diffusion of cities and the urban lifestyle. In Western Europe and the US, you're going to see cities blossom and explode in growth from the late 1700s to the early 1900s as these countries industrialize. In more recent future years, from like about 1970 onward in developing countries, you have seen urbanization grow. Now, these countries don't have as many major cities as Western Europe and the US does, but they are still going through the same process of people moving from rural areas into the cities looking for work, and they're not being the infrastructure to have that. So they're having to crowd into apartments or build makeshift housing from whatever they can find and try and rig up electricity and water, and it's been really tough. So again, these governments are struggling to make it, and a lot of people are dying because of pollution and polluted water and lack of infrastructure and overcrowding and things like that. In the US, the Census Bureau uses some terms to classify the growth around urban areas. So an MSA is a term that they use to identify a geographical area with a central city, so like the District of Columbia, and then some of the counties around it. So in the DC area, you would have the district, and then you would have like Montgomery, Prince George's County, Loudoun, Fairfax, City of Alexandria, because you've got people from those counties commuting into the city, so they overlap. And an MSA has to have a minimum of 50,000 people, and often you will have MSAs overlap. So like major cities would overlap. So like Baltimore, Washington sometimes tend to overlap a little bit. In North Carolina, you've got Raleigh, Durham, Winston-Salem. They all kind of overlap. And sometimes when you have lots of these MSAs overlap, you have what they call a megalopolis, which is usually a term where you have over 100,000, about 10 million people in one city. But here, going from Washington up to Boston, you've got lots of people. That includes New York, which New York is one of the megalopolises we have here in the U.S. On a smaller scale, you have a micropolitan area, which is about 10,000. Loudoun County would fit into that. We're actually we're bigger than that. So I take that back. Loudoun County would not fit into that because we have over 100,000 people in the county minimal. So we don't really have a lot of areas in Northern Virginia that would fit into a micropolitan area. All right, just to kind of compare growth, what you have here is the rate of urbanization versus the level. So the U.S. and Western Europe have lots of people living in cities. So nearly 75% of the U.S. population lives near or in a city. That includes the suburbs, compared to the rate of urbanization, which is how fast cities are growing. China has a higher rate of urbanization, but less people live in cities because they are industrializing right now. So that's kind of comparison. The graph right here shows the rate of urbanization in China in 2005, how many people were living in cities, and what they project over a 25-year period, which we're almost to right now, of how many people they think and the growth of cities by 2025. All right, how did cities get started? Well, again, cities are going to begin as people start to settle down with agriculture and they start to trade, and cities will have many different functions, but a couple of key things: you need a source of food, you need water, and things like that. So that's really when urbanization begins. All right, again, cities are going to have different functions. Some are going to be more places where people come and trade agriculture to just get their goods, and then in turn, over time, you're going to see people come and get other needs like pottery and clothing and different things like that. So cities really become that trade hub. Later on, they will become also cities' role of political and administrative for governments and things like that. Some will become religious centers. So over time, cities will have lots of different purposes. The Greeks and the Romans, obviously, as they colonized and set up their governments and their empires, mostly Rome as opposed to Greece, they will, again, to administer their city-states and their empires, will look at, when they conquer a region, certain places will be, again, cultural, but mostly administrative and political hubs, and trading as well. And again, some places will be holy sites, whether there's temples. Mecca and Medina are great examples of urban hearths, because they're cities where people come to practice religious worship. Jerusalem would be another example of a urban hub, a religious urban hub. All right, so prior to industrialization, most cities were, again, places of trade. You had rural areas around an urban area where people would come and do commerce. They were also where people could come in contact with folks from other lands to get goods and things like that. You're going to see a decline of cities after the Roman Empire, but they were still there, just on a smaller scale. And once in the 1500s, once Europe started to explore and set up colonies again, they are going to kind of copy what the cities in Europe look like to establish them, and to, again, kind of as a framework. Again, the whole point of these cities were more trade hubs to collect the goods that they had gotten from their colonies to take back home to Europe. What you also see, as most of the trading cities were over in Europe or in Asia, you will see some of the Americas, obviously, as they start to colonize, but you're going to kind of see this, what they call an urban banana, of the shape kind of formed a banana if you look at a map. Most of your cities that were trade hubs were London and Paris. In Western Europe, Venice and Milan and Italy, you had Constantinople, and kind of in more central Asia, kind of more central Europe in that area, and then Nanking and Osaka and Hangzhou more over in East Asia to kind of balance all of that out. Prior to industrialization, as Europe comes out of the Middle Ages, you're going to start to see cities more divided by economics. So you're going to have the wealthy part of town and more of the poorer part of town. And all of the businesses that serve those communities are going to be located in the communities. You don't often see a wealthy individual going into the poorer side of town to receive services. They're pretty much going to stay in their community. You don't see a lot of intermixing of, unless somebody who's poor is going to work in the more wealthier side of town. But usually people pretty much tended to stay in their own neighborhoods for the most part. Now, with the advent of industrialization, things are going to change radically. One, again, prior to Industrial Revolution, very few people lived in cities, but it's going to skyrocket after that because with changes in the second agricultural revolution, less people are going to farm because they're going to be farming more efficiently. So as a result, people are going to move into the city looking for jobs, and they're going to be put to work in factories. Initially, factories aren't necessarily in cities. They're located near sources of water, but with changes in technology, with steam, with coal being used as a source of power, and things like that, things will change, and most of your factories are going to be in cities, so things are going to explode. People are going to be overcrowded, and there's going to be pollution and all kinds of things like that, but populations are going to just increase quite significantly, and that is going to be a major issue at that time. As some examples with population, you were going to see in England, for example, you're going to see develop what we call shock cities, where the population just skyrockets in a short period of time. In Manchester, England, for example, 1750, you have 80,000 people. 100 years later, you're up to over 500,000. Chicago is another example. It's a small kind of outpost at the beginning of the colonies. By 1900, 150 years later, it's up to over 1.5 million people because of the meatpacking industry. So with these industrial cities, what you're going to see is the fact that these cities are going to be sources of trade, manufacturing, and they are going to have to figure out how to deal with these infrastructures. So they're going to have to build more housing. People are going to be overcrowded. They're going to have to deal with pollution because of the factories. They're going to have to deal with polluted water, overcrowding. Children are going to be put to work because people have to make money to survive as a family. So they're going to have lots of problems to deal with the rise of cities. All right. So again, as I mentioned, there are problems now and there are problems back then. They're very similar. As cities developed, so currently what you've got, just as you had back in industrialism, you have a strained infrastructure within cities. LDCs often are looking at, they don't have as many cities to deal with as MDCs did back with the Industrial Revolution. So what they're focusing on is 1 or 2 cities where the manufacturing is happening, as opposed to having multiple cities so they can kind of concentrate their resources. So you've got all that population coming, so it's really straining their resources. You're mostly having adults moving in, so not necessarily as many families, so where do you put them, and that type of thing. Sometimes they will have families with kids. What are you doing with schooling and healthcare and all kinds of things like that? Most people can't find housing, so they, again, like we talked about before, do this makeshift housing. The UN has estimated that you've got up to about 175 million people in squatter settlements in 2003. That has increased quite a bit since then. They haven't done analysis since then, but I'm sure it's a lot more. And what is a squatter settlement? Usually it's a makeshift house, again, we talked about before, with whatever people can find. And in different places, they call it different things. In Brazil, it's a favela. In Spanish-speaking countries in Latin America, it's a verderas. In India, it's called a basti. And then in Malaysia, I'm not going to try and pronounce that because I'll butcher it. So again, you find these all over the world, but in different places, they're called different things. These are some pictures of different squatter settlements. This is in Indonesia. This is in Brazil. This is in India. So again, very different, but very similar at the same time. With the Olympics the World Cup that was held a couple years ago in Brazil, and then with the Olympics back in 2012, I think, in Rio, but I could be off on that a little bit. It might have been 2016. It was 2016. They basically cordoned off the areas of the squatter settlements or the poorer parts of Rio so the tourists wouldn't see them, to kind of keep that barrier, and they got a lot of flack for that example. So last thing to talk about is an urban settlement. An urban settlement is different cities that are connected, how they interact with each other. So like Baltimore and Washington would be an example of Richmond to a certain extent, that they act they're independent, but they also have a dependent relationship as well. Washington and Baltimore have work with each other in regards to economic development because they have airports that are close to each other. They work with highways, interstates as well. Richmond does to a certain extent as well with Washington, D.C. And so again, what geographers look at is how these cities interact with each other, and how the development's gone as well. Just taking an idea of why cities are where they are and why they've developed and that type of thing. So that's going to wrap up our talk about urbanization today, and we will continue more with it later on this week.